San Antonio starts right now.
Residents of an apartment complex now without a home after a devastating fire on Friday. What those residents had to say about that terrifying night. And firefighters urging caution after a house fire they say was started by a space heater. So what you need to know to keep yourself safe, that's right now on GMSA.
And as we take a look outside with live cam, look at all that sunshine. Another beautiful day after this chilly start. We'll check out your Sunday forecast coming up.
Good morning. It is 8 a.m., 35 degrees on this Sunday, January 12th. Much better than our 28 that we started with yesterday.
Yes, it is definitely still a cold start, but not quite as cold as what we were dealing with 24 hours ago. And the sun is up, and that's going to help temperatures warm even more efficiently into the afternoon hours. But if you are fixing to head out the door for any Sunday morning plans, you will want to bundle up. 35 the current temperature here in San Antonio, just a degree cooler in New Braunfels at 34. Parts of the hill country managing to see a light freeze yet again this morning, with temperatures in the upper 20s and right around that 30-degree mark for places like Kerrville as well as Bernie. You can see not a whole lot to talk about when it comes to those wind speeds right now, so not really needing to contend with the wind chill value. That's the good news. We will warm things up later on today with mostly sunny skies in the forecast. A high temperature right around 63 degrees expected by 3 to 4 o'clock, and then still cool, especially after the sun goes down for evening plans. Temperatures in the upper 50s around dinner time at 6, closer to 50 degrees by 10 o'clock. Winds out of the southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Okay, so that will be the theme today. Looking ahead to the upcoming week, chilly mornings followed by nice afternoons still in the forecast. However, we do look to warm things up before we see our next cold front move in. That looks to arrive next weekend around January 18th or 19th and pack another punch when it comes to temperatures into the following week. We're going to detail all of this for you coming up a little bit later on.
Mia, thank you. This morning, firefighters were on the scene of a house fire that they say was caused by a space heater on the city's northeast side. So this happened around 10 p.m. last night on Sun River Drive. It's just off Walsham Road and Old Seguin Road. Firefighters say that a couch caught on fire inside that home, which was believed to be sparked by a space heater that was placed too close to it. So fortunately, they were able to quickly put out that burning couch and save the house, and luckily no one inside was hurt. Now, firefighters say they see an uptick in house fires when it gets cold like this, and often they're caused by space heaters or fireplace that wasn't used properly. So here's what you need to know. Keep any flammable objects at least 3 feet away from a space heater when it's on. That includes stuff like bed sheets, blankets, curtains, couches. Plug the heater directly into the wall instead of using an extension cord. And for fireplace safety, always double check your chimney and fireplace before using them. And meanwhile, 26 people are without a home this morning after a fire at an apartment complex on Jackson Keller yesterday afternoon. Multiple units are considered a total loss, some because of that fire damage, others because of that excess smoke damage. Some of the displaced include a child, pets, an elderly man and woman. Thankfully, no one was hurt.
I was actually asleep. My cousin woke me up. Saw everyone kind of, the fire department, the police department kicking doors in to get people out.
We seen all the smoke coming from the top of the building.
The apartment complex is offering units to people in the affected building, but getting any salvageable belongings out of their home is what they're hoping for now. I-35 in Hildebrand back open this morning after a deadly crash saw the interstate shut down last night. We're still working to find out exactly what caused that shutdown, but here's what we know this morning. San Antonio Fire Department says that someone walking on I-10 was hit and killed by a car. Right now, we don't know that person's name or why they were walking on the highway. The road is back open now, but we'll update you as soon as we learn more about this incident on air and online at KSAT.com. In your morning headline, Special Counsel Jack Smith has resigned from the Justice Department. His resignation was effective as of yesterday. So Smith wrapped up his work on true criminal investigations of President-elect Donald Trump. One investigation looked at whether Trump broke any laws when he allegedly took classified documents with him after leaving the White House in 2021. The other investigation examined whether Trump attempted to overthrow the 2020 election results when pro-Trump supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol on January 6th of 2021. And some of the fastest growing jobs in 2025 revolve around that thing that we just can't escape: artificial intelligence. LinkedIn looked at millions of jobs based on user information. From 2022 to 2024, the top 2 jobs were artificial intelligence engineer, artificial intelligence consultant. Following that, physical therapist, workforce development manager, and travel advisor. And President Biden has awarded the country's highest civilian honor to Pope Francis. The president awarded him the Presidential Medal of Freedom with distinction. This is the first time Biden has given this award out during his presidency. The award citation called the pontiff the people's pope and went on to say that Pope Francis is a light of faith, hope, and love that shines brightly across the world. Biden planned to travel to Rome and the Vatican to meet with Italian leaders, but had to cancel his trip so he could deal with the California wildfires. Looking ahead, the Riverwalk is going to be a bit drier this week as the city will perform its annual draining and maintenance sections of the river. So starting tomorrow, the channel from Brooklyn Avenue to Houston Street will be completely drained, and parts of the river from Houston Street to Nueva Street will also be drained. Don't worry though, you can still enjoy the river loop area since that won't be drained. Maintenance will wrap up on Friday, the 17th. Dream Week is well underway here in the Alamo City, leading up to the 38th annual Martin Luther King Jr. March and celebration. But before that, there's a ton of other activities taking place across the city. Like today, there's a couple events happening, including the Samurai Spirit Swords, Accessories, and Painting, which dives into Japanese samurai and other influence on the literature and theater and media through the ages. There's also Dining with Rolando Briseño, a 50-year retrospective, which is an exhibition devoted to Mexican-American artist, Chicano activist, and culinary historian Rolando Briseño. There's also events happening daily, all leading up to the national holiday next Monday. Looking ahead, the 2025 Rodeo Houston Entertainer lineup is out. So this year, the rodeo starts March 4th, runs to the 23rd. The big headliners include Luke Bryan, Brooks and Dunn, Parker McCollum, and Post Malone, among others. Tickets go on sale next week, Thursday, January 16th. I wonder how many people are going to get those Posty tickets. 8:08, 35 degrees still ahead. The Houston Texans celebrating a big playoff win this morning. We'll go over the latest duel with the Chargers in just a bit. And as the weather turns frightful, learn how neighbors are helping their neighbors in the Alamo City.
And we are waking up to chilly temperatures this morning. A relatively quiet weather pattern taking shape into the upcoming week. We'll detail all of that for you when we come back.
Well, it's been a cold week in San Antonio and a challenging time for nonprofits who are working to take care of people experiencing homelessness. That's why our Devin Karp spoke with one of them yesterday to see where they stand and how people can continue to help out.
Hey, good morning, Sarah. You know, when I was doing some work yesterday, I saw a lot of people helping out, volunteering their time, which is always great to see. You know, yesterday, Haven for Help held actually a coat donation drive, asking people to give any extra warm clothes they have because that nonprofit gave all of theirs out to people this week. The nonprofit says it's been over capacity for years at its shelter and sent their outreach team out overnight when it was cold, looking for anyone that they could find, giving them some warm clothes, food, water, and transportation to another overnight shelter. Nina Padilla with the Haven for Hope says one of the reasons it's great to work with other people in the city because every one of these nonprofits are on the same page about who to help.
All of the amazing nonprofits here in our city just do a wonderful job of communicating and helping everyone that needs either shelter or, food or coats.
Haven for Hope says they're going to continue to activate their overnight outreach team as long as these temperatures stay cold. And hey, something good to hear about that coat drive that I mentioned that happened yesterday. Haven tells me they're still tallying up the final coats they've received, but it's well above their 3,000 coats goal, so they'll be able to give those out to people in need. Sarah?
That's wonderful to hear, Devin. I love that they exceeded their goal and they're still counting. Thank you so much, Devin. And hey, like you mentioned, it's still going to be cold. Maybe not as cold this week, but still pretty chilly for us San Antonians.
Exactly. In the mornings especially, just the kiddos heading off to school, you heading off to work, just go ahead and your mental checklist. Make sure that they at least have the extra layer with them, especially for the first half of the day. And you are needing that extra layer this morning. It is a cold start to this Sunday. 35 degrees is what we're up to now here in San Antonio. 36 in New Braunfels. You can see just looking at temperatures on this map, mainly areas west of I-35 up into the hill country for places like Rio Medina, Castroville, Devine, even Sabinal, managing to dip down to a brief light freeze this morning. A few degrees warmer east of the I-35 corridor, but of course for all of us, yes, it is a chilly start to the day. The sun is up. We've seen plenty of it already this morning. That will still be the case into the afternoon as well. A beautiful afternoon in store for any end of the weekend plans. 53 degrees expected around 11 o'clock this morning, 62 by 2 p.m. We've got a forecast high still in the low 60s, very seasonable for this time of year, and then turning cool again later on tonight after the sun goes down. Still expecting mostly clear skies. Temperatures gradually falling into and through the 50s. Here's a look at your high temperatures for the day across the San Antonio metro. It'll be 64 in Converse, same off to our southwest Port SA, 61 in Bulverde, perhaps some upper 50s in the higher elevations of the hill country, 58 in Bernie, 58 in Comfort. Gonzales, similar to us here in San Antonio, topping off near 63 degrees. Here's a look at your temperature trend, both in the mornings and into the afternoons as we look ahead to the upcoming work week. Here are those chilly mornings, still gradually warming, all things considered, by the end of the week. But by tomorrow, we're in the upper 30s, transitioning to the upper 50s into the afternoon. Slightly more cloud cover is going to gradually work back into the south central Texas sky over the next couple of days, which is one of the reasons why high temperatures through Wednesday may be a few degrees lower than what we're expected to see out there today underneath all of that sunshine. Notice just ahead of next weekend, a brief warm up, upper 40s by Friday morning, transitioning to near 70 degrees into Friday afternoon. What about rain? Well, unfortunately, a pretty dry forecast is in the works here this week. Here's a look at the upper levels of the atmosphere. We've got a few different lobes of low pressure. This one moving across the northern tier, sparking up some snow right now, where temperatures are cold enough to support that. It's 21 degrees in Minneapolis, 28 in Omaha, Chicago checking in at 30 degrees as well. You can see the big picture here with much of the lower 48 still dealing with this cold air in place this morning. Those two low pressure systems not really looking to impact our weather pattern here at home. You can see this kind of west to east movement in the upper levels of the atmosphere throughout this week. That's what we call zonal flow, just not a whole lot going on. That's why that quiet weather pattern is in the forecast for us. A lot of the rain bypassing much of the state of Texas to the east by the time all is said and done. So we'll watch that cloud cover gradually working back in over the next several days. Again, still chilly in the mornings, temperatures in the 30s and 40s, highs in the 50s and 60s, warming up briefly by Friday. Then next weekend, the 18th and 19th, that's when we're looking to see our next cold front move in. This one could be strong again. We'll detail what we'll need to monitor with that into next week, especially for Martin Luther King Jr. Day next Monday.
I know, an estimated 300,000 people come out for that march. It's been postponed
last year,
or canceled before because of cold weather, so I know a lot of eyes will be on that forecast.
Yep, it looks to be one that you'll want the coat for that too.
Thank you, Mia. All right, 8:18, 35 degrees. The Houston Texans dominating last night in their playoff game against the Chargers. We'll have the latest next. And the San Antonio Spurs standing by after Saturday's game was postponed. We'll hear from players on that situation. That's coming up. The Texans hosting the Chargers in an AFC wildcard matchup. The Chargers wearing LA Fire Department hats to represent the brave first responders fighting those firefighters in LA. Fighting those fires in LA. Well, let's get to it. Second quarter, Chargers up by a pair of field goals when Justin Herbert is intercepted by Kamari Lassiter. First NFL playoff game for Lassiter, and he makes a big defensive play. Later, Texans with a bad snap, but Stroud makes something out of nothing, finding Xavier Hutchinson for a gain of 34 yards. That was a turning point for Houston. Couple of plays later, Stroud over to the middle to Nico Collins for the go-ahead touchdown. It was 10-6 Texans at the half. Third quarter, Stroud looks to the end zone, but the Chargers intercept the pass. However, after further review, it'd be ruled an incomplete pass. Ooh, incomplete pass there. So Houston settles for a field goal. Later, Eric Murray takes it all the way for the pick six. Texans lead 20-6. That play was followed up by an 86-yard touchdown soon after, but the extra point was blocked by Danico Autry, and D'Angelo Ross takes it for the distance for a 2-point return. Look at him go. And that's an NFL playoff first. Here's your final score. Texans 32, Chargers 12. The Texans defense combined for 4 interceptions, 108 yards. It's a big win for the Texans fans here in San Antonio, who turned out big for their team in the days leading up to the game. Okay, the 25th edition of the Navy All-American Bowl took center stage at the Alamo Dome yesterday. He goes by Route King Coop, steals Jalen Cooper, caught Kayshawn Henderson's pass in stride and takes it home for the 91-yard touchdown. The SMU commit, woo, go Ponies, led all receivers with 2 catches for 128 yards as West beat East 13-7. Switching things up to Go Spurs Go, and the Spurs got in an hour-long workout yesterday at the Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles in the same slot San Antonio originally had reserved for the shoot-around, but due to the ongoing wildfires across Southern California, the Spurs and Lakers game was postponed. And unfortunately, Lakers head coach J.J. Redick knows the devastation all too well, losing his home in the Palisades fire. Local officials in Los Angeles and Inglewood want to ensure no resources will be diverted from the wildfire response efforts. Here's what Harrison Barnes had to say at practice.
Yeah, it's obviously, a tough situation. Prayers for all the people affected, in this LA area with the fires. A lot of people lost homes, been displaced, been affected by it. So just obviously want to see the community come back together. Sports is one of those things where, we're able to get away, we're able to unwind, and, hopefully we'll be able to play this game or a game at some point in time. But, we're extremely blessed and privileged just to be in this situation.
Spurs were supposed to play the Lakers again Monday. We'll see what happens with that game. The Clippers-Hornets game also postponed due to the fires. Makeup dates have not been announced. It's 8:25 and 35 degrees still ahead. San Antonio saying a tearful goodbye to the legendary Spurs fan, Sylvia Lorano, the story of the so-called Spurs lady. That's next. And as the California fires continue to rage, learn how Texan firefighters are prepping to help our neighbors on the West Coast. Good morning. It is 8:30 on your Sunday, January 12th. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Mia, I love the cold weather, but not when it's freezing for so many hours. But we don't have to worry about that for the next couple of days.
Really, moving forward, I think, into this week, while maybe parts of the hill country dip down to 32 degrees tonight, I think for the most part, freezing temperatures are out of the forecast, at least for the next 5 to 7 days here in San Antonio. We are expecting another strong cold front to work in next weekend. That could bring with it a few more mornings near or below freezing into next week. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in the newscast. I do want to bring you the pollen count. Just got this in for today. Very similar to what we saw yesterday. Mountain cedar in the moderate category at 270. Molds are low at 180. So we'll, of course, be sure to keep tabs, especially on that mountain cedar count into the upcoming week. But it is chilly, and some areas did manage to dip down to a light freeze this Sunday morning. 31 in Kerrville, 31 in Hondo, 36 in New Braunfels. Check out Austin. Down to 30 degrees this morning as well. Meanwhile, we're sitting in the mid-30s, right around 35 in the Alamo City. Plenty of sunshine expected into this afternoon. A high temperature near 63, then turning cool again after the sun goes down. Thermometers falling into and through the 50s under mostly clear skies. Here's a look at the upcoming work week. Again, these are your temperatures here in San Antonio, above freezing in town, upper 30s first thing Monday. It will be breezy tomorrow. Some gusts upwards of 25 miles per hour look to be a possibility. High temperatures in the mid 50s for the most part, maybe a few upper 50s from time to time. And we'll start to see more cloud cover work back in as well. Warming things up later this week ahead of that next strong cold front that at least looks to move in by this time next weekend. We'll get you a look at what we'll be monitoring with that into the following week coming up in just a few.
Mia, thank you. Some sad news for Spurs fans. Sofia Loriano, also affectionately known as a Spurs lady, has passed away. So for years, she's been a local celebrity, a Spurs super fan, seen at almost every game and event with her incredible merch that was usually blinged out or made herself. Her husband confirmed to KSAT that she had a heart attack. She had prior heart issues, including surgery last year, during which the entire city showed their support. Mayor Ron Nirenberg posted on X last night saying that she embodied the heart and soul of our city, radiating love for SA and everything she did. And even recently, local artist JC Art announced he will be decorating a Spurs casket for her in her honor. Turning to the situation in California, even though winds were calmer yesterday, firefighters had just hours of relief because overnight, those Santa Ana winds picked up yet again, raising concerns that the wildfires could grow and more homes could be threatened. Matt Rivers is in the Palisades with the story.
As those powerful Santa Ana winds make an unwelcome return. The Palisades fire, scorching through more than 23,000 acres and counting, only 11% contained, now threatening popular neighborhoods like Brentwood and Encino, triggering new evacuations in both places. First responders working tirelessly around the clock. Aircraft diving over and over, dropping water and retardant in an effort to stop the flames from spreading.
But, we were sitting here, they probably did 50 drops between this whole line here.
And on the ground, we followed firefighters in Brentwood as they held the line against the onslaught of flames. So you can see with these wind gusts, those flames trying to force their way up from the bottom of the canyon. And as they do so, they're getting closer and closer to this house here. This is somebody's patio that we're on. And you can see the firefighters doing their best to make sure the flames don't get this high. Without these firefighters here right now, the house here, other houses in this neighborhood, almost certainly gone. With dwindling resources, the firefighters using water from the pool of the very same home they were fighting to save to bolster their own water supply. A flare-up early Saturday even spawning this stunning fire-nado, spreading the flames. New satellite images showing the Palisades fire burning south of the Encino Reservoir. Massive plumes of smoke blanketing the skies. Palisades just one of several fires still burning around Los Angeles. The Eaton fire scorching through more than 14,000 acres and only 15% contained. Malcolm Stewart did his best to save lives the night that fire broke out near his home in Altadena, racing around without water, still trying to put out the flames.
I wasn't even thinking about it. I was just thinking about trying to save my neighborhood. I grew up here.
And he managed to save several homes, but for so many others, he could only watch.
I'm devastated. I wish I could have I wish I would have had water, and saved all these houses.
The death toll from all the fires now rising to 16, though officials warn the full scope of the loss of life is still unclear. Volunteers descending on this parking lot in Arcadia, hundreds of people donating supplies like clothes and food to evacuees, coming together to help their community however they can.
And to help Californians fight those fires, Governor Greg Abbott announced yesterday that he's sending Texas firefighters to LA to help out. Volunteers from the Texas A&M Forest Service and Texas Department of Emergency Management on their way now to California. Texas joins a total of 9 states sending men and resources to the area. Even a group of firefighters from Mexico are being sent to Los Angeles. In a statement, Governor Greg Abbott said, quote, "Texans know all too well the devastation wildfires can cause to our communities, and our country is stronger when we come together in times of crisis." California Governor Gavin Newsom thanked the volunteers who are coming to help out.
We currently now have 9 states that are supporting our efforts out here. In fact, we're the Texas crew on our EMAC process. They'll be exactly where the Mexicans team will be in the hand crews.
Newsom said the firefighters sent to California will undergo a few days of training before being sent to help contain those fires. It's been a cold week in San Antonio and a challenging time for nonprofits who are working to take care of people experiencing homelessness. Our Devin Karp spoke with them yesterday to see where they stand and how people can continue to help out. Good morning, Devin.
Hey, good morning, Sarah. Between yesterday and all week long, we've seen countless volunteers coming forward to help out, whether that's just assisting in making a meal or going as far to donate coats for Haven for Hope, holding a coat donation drive yesterday, asking people to give any extra warm clothes they have because the nonprofit gave out all of the coats they had to people this week. That nonprofit says it's been over capacity at its shelters for the last 3 years and has been sending the outreach team out overnight, looking for anyone they could find on the streets, giving them some warm clothes, food, water, and if they're looking for it, transportation to another overnight shelter that has room. Nina Padilla with the Haven says it's one of the great reasons to work together with other people in the city because everyone, including nonprofits, are all on the same page about helping out when it gets cold.
Haven for Hope has been at overcapacity for about 3 years now. So we did only do 1 night of emergency shelter sleeping. But that's why our outreach program is so important because we are able to go out.
Haven says they're going to continue to activate their outreach team as long as they see these cold temperatures staying out here in San Antonio. And hey, some good news, that coat drive that I mentioned yesterday, Haven says they're still counting up the final tally of all the coats they received, but it's well above their 3,000 coats goal. Pretty good to see. It's back to you, Sarah.
Devin, thank you. And some people with autism who have a hard time with social cues and interaction, it's hard to not feel isolated from society. This is even harder for children who are minority children with autism. There's extra worry for those families about racial tension and police misinterpreting those autistic behavior. So researcher Ashley Flanagan conducted a survey asking Black caregivers what their biggest worries are. The number one concern was the training police officers get in understanding how to deal with autistic people. There's also worries about how autistic behavior is looked at by police.
The fear that these parents shared with us was palpable. So there might be some perceptions, and this is what parents are concerned about.
So tomorrow on GMSA, Patty Santos shows us what struggles autistic members of minority communities are facing here in San Antonio. Okay, we have an update. I-10 at Hildebrand is back open this morning after a deadly crash saw that interstate shut down late last night. Now we're still working to find out exactly what caused the shutdown, but SAPD says a man jumped out of a moving vehicle down I-10 West. So right now we don't know what that person's name is or why they jumped out of the car. The road back open now, but we'll update you as soon as we learn both on air and online. We're going to update you guys. It's 8:39, 35 degrees. We're gearing up for another year of Know My Neighborhood. We'll have a preview of our upcoming show from Denver Heights. That is next.
And as we take a look outside with live cam, beautiful sunshine to kickstart this Sunday. Yes, it's chilly, but this afternoon will be nice. We'll get you a look at those high temperatures coming up in a bit.
Well, this month, Know My Neighborhood is heading to Denver Heights. That's just east of downtown, not far from the Alamo Dome. Every Know My Neighborhood episode starts with a conversation where we meet with people who live there and they tell us about their neighborhood. That's what determines what stories we cover. So we want to show you what the conversation looks like and give you an early glimpse into our Denver Heights story.
I love Denver Heights. I love the culture of it. Whether it's a dilapidated house or not, it still has potential.
Neighbors get along over here.
What made you stay here this long?
It's the history.
Yeah?
It was a black community of professional people. And it has a legacy.
Denver Heights is prime location. Prime location, and it has culture.
To stand on that hillside by that hand is the official Denver Heights logo. And you stand next to that logo and you look down at the city. That's one of the most beautiful skylines of San Antonio that you can visualize. Come on now. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. That's something that we're very proud of.
Sometimes the east side as a whole, but specifically Denver Heights, sometimes people feel left out. There's not a hospital over here. There's not a movie theater.
One negative point that I have, and I've had it for some time, and it's fallen on deaf ears. Highway Street, which is a thoroughfare, nobody seems to care about the speed limit up and down that residential street of Highway. For me to back out of my driveway, I'm taking my life in my hand.
The ultimate goal or the overall picture is to grow without displacing. You can move in, but let's not shake up this neighborhood too much. What do you think this neighborhood needs? A lot of love. And love doesn't come from just money, but a lot of love meaning the developers that are wanting to come in, for them to be more understanding.
So Know My Neighborhood Denver Heights airs January 30th at 6 p.m. We hope you join us live from Denver Heights. And if you want to see more Know My Neighborhood action, you can just head over to KSAT.com, find all of our previous episodes under the Know My Neighborhood tab. And I know Denver Heights is going to be kind of the heart of that MLK march that's happening, and not this Monday, but the next Monday. And we're all eyes on the weather for what is going to be impacted during that march, because I know every year it's like it's going to be cold, but their main concern is ice.
Right, and it's of course way too early to know if we'll see any precipitation line up with super cold temperatures again next week. However, do know that yes, the march and Martin Luther King Jr. Day itself is trending colder by early next week after we see next weekend's cold front push through south central Texas. So as you can see with your high temperature trend, at least over the next week or so, temperatures are going to be near or slightly below average, with the exception of Friday, where we'll see a brief warm up ahead of next weekend. High temperature near 70 degrees expected. Before we can get there this afternoon, 63 degrees our high temperature. That is average for this time of year. A very seasonable end to the weekend in store. You can see by Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday that actually our air temperatures are expected to be a few degrees lower than today. That's all thanks to additional cloud cover that's going to start to stream back into the area. So enjoy the mostly sunny skies that we have in the forecast this afternoon. Okay, so here's the latest on that cold front. And again, this is an early look. We're still about a week away, but I'm thinking next weekend, January 18th or 19th, we will see another low pressure system swing across the northern tier of the United States. This will then drop that next cold front, this one strong, into our neck of the woods. Again, that time frame looking to be next weekend, and then more of that Arctic air, another batch of it working in across a good portion of the lower 48. And that is reflected in the latest 8 to 14 day temperature outlook issued by the Climate Prediction Center. You can see all of this blue on the map with the exception of parts of Florida. Below average temperatures anticipated for January 20th through January 26th. Now, what does that mean for San Antonio? Early indications, potentially a few more mornings where we dip below freezing next week. It is January. And potentially high temperatures as cold as the upper 30s and low 40s. Again, we need to fine tune these details, exact timing, strength of the cold air as it starts to work its way southbound after that cold front works in next weekend. Just know that that is going to be something to watch by the time we get into next week. Of course, we'll continue to keep you updated on that as well. In the meantime, though, we do have a few high clouds streaming across the south central Texas sky. I think that cirrus deck will be with us into this afternoon. Still expecting plenty of filtered sunshine. 35 degrees, chilly out there right now. Into this afternoon, though, we will be warming things up a bit more than what we've seen over the past couple of days. 53 degrees at 11 a.m. For context, yesterday we got up to 57. That was our high temperature here in San Antonio. We'll be right about there by lunchtime already this afternoon. There's that high temperature pointed right around 63 degrees. Then we'll start to see those temperatures fall into and through the 50s later on this evening. Looking ahead, again, there's that cloud cover that's going to start to work back in. Unfortunately, no notable chances for rain, minus a 10% chance for a stray shower into Thursday and Friday. But for the most part, things are looking somewhat quiet with chilly mornings and nice afternoons. I also did want to mention January's full wolf moon. It officially becomes full tomorrow afternoon, but it will appear full this evening. Moonrise is at 4:41 p.m. today. The moon will rise over the northeastern horizon. Mostly clear skies expected later this evening. So if you catch a photo, send it into KSAT Connect, please. We'd love to show it tomorrow. And if you are curious why it's called the wolf moon, named after the wolves that would be heard howling this time of year.
I thought it was already a full moon. The last 2 days,
it looked very full.
It's been very clear, especially when it's low. And the beginning of the night, it's been beautiful.
So pretty.
Thank you, Mia. It's 8:51 and 35 degrees. We'll be right back. Okay, it might be winter, but someone still wanted to have a pool party. Take a look at your screen. Home security video captured a bear playing in a pool in Northern California in the middle of the night last week. This was all while the homeowners were fast asleep. One wildlife expert says that the bear encounters like this are getting more common in the area for a simple reason.
It's a very slippery slope because once they learn to associate people in our neighborhoods with food, they become bolder and bolder in their efforts to get that food.
Wanted a little dip there. Unfortunately, the bear was not the most considerate guest. Tisk tisk, the homeowners say he left quite a mess for them in the morning. Poor guy.
So I guess that was my question is, I wonder what made them check their camera to see the bear in the pond, but I'm sure if the bear left quite a mess.
They're like,
what happened here last night?
Bear scat everywhere.
Tisk, tisk, Mr. Bear or Mrs. Bear. Yes, all right, back here at home, a chilly start still to this Sunday. Plenty of sunshine in store with a few high clouds filtering across the sky from time to time this afternoon. A high temperature right around 63 degrees at 3 to 4 o'clock. Tomorrow morning, we're in the upper 30s. 30s and 40s will be your morning low temperatures for much of this week, with highs still cool and pleasant in the 50s and 60s.
Enjoy your Sunday. Maybe today's a good day to take down your Christmas decorations like I still have to do. No shame. We're going to get it done. Have a great Sunday, y'all.